Welcome into ACL Live. It is Memorial Day. Hope you guys enjoyed the weekend. Got a chance to get some barbecue. We're here to have some fun. A lot of feedback also.
No, it's me. It's my AC. There's a AC up here. It's the loudest intake ever.
I was like, as the second we went live, we had no issues.
Hadn't been on. Like as soon as we go live, it comes on. That's perfect. It'll go off in a second. It's the loudest intake ever.
Disaster already. But no, we are going to go over the upcoming weekend in Mesa, Arizona. We got ourselves a open and shootout combination here. So
yes, sir.
We have a lot of fun. We got a lot to cover. We'll do some open talk, some shootout talk, and then I guess we can kind of pick our winners too, Bernie, and get into it. But yeah, I'm fresh back from Wyoming, a little tired. So hopefully the A- game is good enough.
It's this time of year because we're kind of right in the middle of our tough, travel stretch, and you're driving all the time. I mean, I actually just drove back from Erie to the Outer Banks back to here. I don't know, man. I don't know why I feel so tired, but I feel like the travel's getting to me.
Yeah, I drove back last night, stopped right outside of North Platte, and then stayed for 4 hours, hopped back on the road at 7 o'clock this morning, got home here at 2 o'clock, waited for somebody to buy my coffee tables, and that was a chore. And then took a shower, hopped on here, and the second we get done here, man, I'm driving back to St. Louis.
How far a drive is that?
It's a 4-hour drive to St. Louis, so I'll get there about 12:30. But the way the travel's setting up with getting the U-Haul out here and then doing a one-way U-Haul trip, my car's got to be in St. Louis, so I'll fly back in here to Kansas City and then take the U-Haul home. So I think I got it figured out at least. We'll find out, right?
Wow. On the road. You should have your own video series, Wally.
I thought about doing that. The only problem is like I know there's ways to do it, mount a camera and stuff like that, but my phone keeps on overheating. Like we did a What the Heck with Keck, Chaos with Keck, whatever our show was called, who the hell knows. And we got about 20 minutes in, my phone kept overheating, so I had to turn off the camera if I'm using the maps. So road tripping, I make at least vlogging. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not much of a vlogger.
Yeah, vlogging's kind of it takes a certain personality.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be the kind of person that's on all the time. And
I'm gonna pretend, I'm gonna fake it till I make it. Like you have to have confidence with what you say.
Right.
I hope they don't use the footage with the high rollers and the ringers, because Haley asked me, what are you looking forward to? I was like, I have no idea who's on these teams. She's like, just go with it. You'll be all right. You know what you're doing. I'm like, all right. So I went into it. I'm like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Adrian Brunson for the high roller is going to do great. And he's not even on the high rollers. He's on the ringers team. I just looked over to my side to see who I saw warming up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then I went with it, and it was just, it was a disaster, man. But hopefully they don't use that footage and nobody knows, because I did have a pretty good recap. But coming off the first national, before we get into this, man, dude, I was shocked, man. The top 8 players after national number 1 made it all the way deep in their brackets.
That's pretty strong.
One person, Matt Guy. So I think we were down to the final 13 players out of 256, and 7 out of those 13 players were the top 1 or 2 seed. That's ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, some of those people you kind of expect maybe, but I mean, like an Alan Rawls. How about Alan Rawls, man? Have a spring.
Dude, everybody wrote off Alan Rawls and Jake Gore after the first one. Like that, good for them. I'm glad they could do it at least one time.
Yep.
And then Jacob Gore was just a shot away from making it back-to-back broadcasts. So.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
It's ridiculous, man. But, all right, well, let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Bernie, we're going to get into singles for the Open. I think we'll finish things off with a shootout. So we'll be right back here in just a little bit. All right, ACL Nation, welcome back. Bernie and myself getting ready to break down the Open Series. Bernie, I'll start things off in the Open Singles. I mean, Philip's already done our job for us. We've got to talk about one team. Apparently, he'll be happy. Call it a day. Enjoy the rest of your night. We're done in 6 minutes. All right, let's tap into singles real quick for Mesa, Arizona. Open number 13. I'm going to start at the bottom there. You can't look more calm, cool, and collected than Ryan Windsor. He has been near the top in pretty much every single tournament he's played in, whether it's cornhole or poker, Opens, shootouts, or whatever. Ryan Windsor's been in the talk all season. And there's just something about Windsor going out west that brings out the best in him.
I feel like I'm waiting for another big Ryan Windsor moment. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he's right, like you're saying, he's right there. He's making deep runs. I feel like I don't know if it's this weekend or possibly, going into Portland. I feel like there's a big Ryan Windsor moment coming.
Yeah. Now, do you know if we're at the same venue we were at last year?
In Mesa? I don't. I assume so, but I don't know.
Yeah, that venue last year was really, really nice. I do remember, though, all the boards last year were playing very, very fast.
Dry.
So, I think if all of these, carpetbag throwers come in with the same mentality, like, oh, I'm scared, I'm afraid of fast boards, blah, 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 that's going to benefit Windsor because Windsor knows how to manipulate his, his own series of bags there better than anyone else. So I look forward to seeing him play on these fast boards. I think he's got it in him for a good win. Number 4 on my list, Tommy Sliker. I don't know if you've seen the name on Facebook quite a bit.
I have on Facebook, but I'm not terribly familiar with his game.
I want to say he's out there in the Carolinas. All I see right now is him posting pictures of holding up that number 1 finger. I remember Trey did a broadcast out there at HQ, I think either for state or conference or something like that. He had some big shots against Tyler Poitras, and he's making some deep runs in some brackets. He was talking on Facebook. I think he won singles and doubles somewhere, and I'm ready. I'm feeling really, really good. So I'm going to keep my eye out on Tommy Sliker. He's a canine sporter, and I'll be keeping my eye out looking for him in singles to see what he can do on his own.
Nice, man. You always take care of your own, Wally. You take care of your people.
There's another guy. I reached out to him on Facebook, kind of an honorable mention, if you will. His name is Jeff Link. He's somebody who used to dominate back in the day. He's got one of these really long steps, tall guy, probably 6'4", gets low and then comes up in a soft release. And he's just so accurate with it. So if this is the same Jeff Link, I'm thinking, honorable mention out to him. I'm keeping an eye out for that as well. Number 3, he's pretty much my Cheyenne Bubenheim for you. He's anytime he's in a bracket, man, I want to watch what Caden Allen can do. I want to see how far he can go in a bracket. The one thing I like about Caden Allen is last week he went to the National, couldn't play. He was just there, and somebody asked him what he was doing there. He said, I'm just scoping out my competition. So he's gearing himself up for a World.
You got to like that. You got to like that kind of confidence.
Yeah, I look forward to Caden Allen every time I'm on the boards, and I just want to see what he can do in singles. Last time we were out there, I believe New Mexico, he fell a little bit short. So let's see if he's the opposite of Windsor, if maybe the West has a different effect on him.
There you go.
Yeah, and then number 2 on my list, man, I feel kind of like you feel like Windsor's about to break out. I feel like we're about to hit the Josh Holland part of the season where he almost starts to care again.
That's such a good way to put it. It's such a good way to put it. I do.
His mannerisms at the beginning of the season are kind of just no, that's not working. We'll try again the next tournament or something like that. But near the end of the season, we're in open number 13, Bernie. We only got, 4 of these left. So heading down the home stretch here, we're down 2 nationals in. I expect Josh Holland to ramp it up. We all know the skills there. We always say the same thing about him. Where's the mindset? What's it going to be? So Josh Holland, calling you out, buddy. Breakout time.
Yeah, don't you feel like we should get more out of Josh Holland at least this season? I feel like it happens to everybody. I don't care what sport, who you are. You're going to have a down year. The talent's too good. Am I wrong? I mean, I feel like the talent's way too good for some of the results we get with Josh.
We talked about Mark Richards' roll shot and how he developed that roll shot this year, and I believe it was Topeka. Josh Holland's roll is lights out. His airmail's always lights out.
Yeah.
I mean, he can go with one of the highest PPRs in the entire bracket if he wants to. So there's no reason he just can't start running bags and winning tournaments left and right. I don't know. I just want ready. I'm ready.
I look, there's times, and I've said this in the past. I said it a couple times last year as well. Like, there's times when you watch Josh Allen play, and it's like, how does the guy lose? And then you watch, and there's a game, and it just seems like he doesn't care. And I know he does. I think it's just his kind of mannerisms, like you were talking about, aren't. If things aren't going his way, I still don't know if he's going to stick through a bad match. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's going to grind. Like, if he doesn't feel it, I don't know if he's going to grind. And
I feel like if the boys are moving fast, it's going to favor him. I mean, his style of play,
for sure.
You could rattle off.
I'm with you on Josh Allen. I'm waiting for the Josh Allen moment.
Yeah, well, Vincent Frisch had his moment at this last national, coming out of the PDC, taking down Matt Guy, sent him to an early losers bracket match. Went on a little bit of run on the winner's side, had a deeper run than he thought. And, you see Mish there in the picture. She talked to him. He said he kind of surprised himself. So I'm not sure if you've got some believing in yourself to do, Vincent Frisch. But, man, you definitely deserve to be there with these elite names on my list. So we go out west. You're not exactly sleeping in your own bed, but you should be pretty good with all the conditions out there. So I want to see what Vincent Frisch can do on a semi-home turf.
So do you think he's gotten to the point yet? Because his name now, obviously with what happened at the last national, but his name had been out there for a while. Like, you think he's adjusting well to kind of being a sought-after player? Even though I know he's PDC, but still, I mean, Vincent Frisch's name always comes up, right? Like, that's kind of like the Gores last year. Watch out for the guys coming out of PDC. You don't want Vincent Frisch to be in your bracket if you're the one drawing out of the PDC.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, too, with Vincent Frisch is we're doing it a little bit differently this year. So we're taking one junior pretty much every single time. And right now it seems like that's just always going to be Vincent Frisch.
Sure.
So coming out of the PDC, Vincent Frisch is going to, have a strong chance of making that bracket. And I think that is starting to build a little bit of confidence. We see who was partner here in a little bit. I'm not sure if he's on your list.
Foreshadowing.
My list. I don't even know. I made this list 4 hours ago, man. You know how much change But no, Vincent Frisch, he's asking some big names. He asked Devin Harbaugh. You have to have confidence and believe in yourself. If you could ask players like this early in the season, they say yes to throw with you. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Vincent Frisch, I think, is there. Let's go ahead and take a look at your singles real quick.
Bring them up. All right, so you went 5 through 1. I kind of like that. I'm going to follow you. Jeremiah Hector has been a pleasant surprise to me, and I know the people that play around him are going to say, "Well, he's always been this." I mean, I get it, but I've seen players when they get a chance, like during teams on when they get their first chance on television, some people just don't play well, right? Like the first time under the lights kind of messes with them a little bit. I got the exact opposite out of Jeremiah Hector. I thought he was ready. I thought he was big stage ready. I think his game is big stage ready. So I'm curious now. And once again, once a name starts to flash up more and more and more attention is drawn to you. I always kind of want to see how you progress now that all the attention's kind of coming your way. So that's why I'm curious to see how Jeremiah plays.
Yeah, Jeremiah shot lights out. He's been same thing with Vincent Frisch. He's thrown with a lot of these top tier pros in some of these open tournaments. So he's always looking for a partner. I don't think that's going to happen much longer. Jeremiah Hector is one of these people that everyone got mad at us probably during the draft. You should know all these players.
Right.
For us. But the respect that he has in the pro division, it seems like all the pros know who he is. So Jeremiah Hector has definitely accelerated himself on my list, made a name for himself this year. And
then up to number 4, Jordan Power. I know that we see tons of Jordan in doubles, right? He and Jay are always kind of making runs when they're playing together. Not that they can make every tournament together, but when they do, it seems like they always make a pretty good run. I'm kind of waiting for that moment for Jordan to do it in singles.
Okay.
And I don't, he makes. I feel like it's coming sooner or later. There's going to be a deep run from Jordan Power. Am I wrong? Am I wrong to think that, or is it just I'm so used to seeing him in doubles? I'm hoping that translates to singles. I don't know.
I say, other than Canada, does he have any Open Series wins in singles?
He does not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, so I mean, he's always been pretty much a doubles only player, but not sure why that is.
Right, because I know he cares about singles, right? I mean, I just wonder if it's his playing style I mean, I don't know if it's because, he will chirp, there is a lot of chatter that comes out of Jordan, and, that gives players kind of extra motivation sometimes to beat you when they know you're going to run your mouth.
Yeah, I think we saw it in Topeka against Joe Neested. I mean, those guys are very familiar with each other. They had a lot of fun, but Power got double dipped by Neested, and that was the one time where somebody started chirping back at, Jordan, and it worked.
Yeah. I'm curious. I always like to keep an eye on him in singles because I want to see him develop deeper runs in singles because we know what he can do in doubles. Number 3, Nico Morales. Nico, first half of this season, I felt like, he was one of those 3 or 4 guys that was making this giant step forward in the pro division, right? I want to see him continue that. I'm wondering if, he makes this giant run. He's kind of making a name for himself. He's really climbing the ladder. And does he hit a plateau? And I'm just curious. I'm not saying that he has hit a plateau. I'm not saying that he will hit a plateau. I'm not saying that he's going to get higher. Maybe he'll drop. I don't know. But I'm curious, and that's why I've got him on my list at number 3.
Yeah, I want to see Nico continue throughout the season. I'm hoping that the partnership with Devin Harbaugh is all positives and he doesn't have to worry about doing anything because Devin on the other end can handle himself. You know what I mean? Don't worry about being Devin's partner. About Nico so far this year, and that I've been seeing a lot out of him in like the last 6-7 months, is that Nico has been focused a lot on his singles game. Yeah. I think that's just made him a better overall player. So yeah, I hope he keeps the confidence in the airmail and keeps on playing how he has been.
Yeah. Number 2, Caleb Batson. I thought Caleb had a great national.
Yeah,
I thought he played outstanding, especially in singles. And he's one of those players that's kind of making positive changes in his life off the court. Right. Yep. Like and I think that speaks volumes. And I think it's amazing that you're talking about a teenager doing that, or at least he's still a teenager, right?
Yeah. I think he's about to be 18.
Yeah. So you're talking about a very young man who's making those kind of life choices because he wants to get better. And it's hard to say that you've got a 17, 18-year-old making decisions that some of the other adults should follow. But I'm really happy for him. I thought he played his tail off. I mean, he's a match 1 or 2 matches away from making a broadcast at a national. So I'm really looking forward to see how Caleb follows that up.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Caleb this entire season. If it wasn't for number 1 on your list, he would have been in the thick of it as well. But I mean, Caleb Batson has been consistent no matter who he's thrown with. Even in the blind draw, taking down the title with Tanner there at the last national. It really doesn't matter. Caleb Batson is elite status.
Absolutely. And number 1, Alan Rawls. Come on, man. Have a 2023. A lot of people. And there was talk. I mean, everyone knows Alan can play, but when you talk about the 2 brothers, Alex is the brother that first comes to mind as far as elite talent. And Alan kind of wears it like a badge of honor that he doesn't grind and practice the way that a lot of other players do. But to back up the first national with the way he backed up in the second national, when a lot of people would have bet money that he could not do that, I think that speaks volumes. And now, does Alan Rawls become one of the guys with a giant target on his back?
Yeah, I mean, they were kind of talking about it last week on the show. Alan Rawls, you guys had your power list. Like, where does he belong? Because he is proving he's a top 5 player right now. Like, yeah, name recognition only gets you so far in this game, and performance has got to account for something. I mean, for this season, he's twice. What else has he got to do?
He's won 2 singles brackets and 2 nationals. I mean, do better. There's how many people have done that this season?
I mean, I don't know.
Pretty small number is what I'm saying.
If we get into it, I actually don't know if there's anybody who's had a better season so far than Alan Rawls.
Right? I mean, he's one of a handful of players that you can start kind of putting in an MVP type conversation. So good on Alan Rawls, and I just want to see how he continues to matriculate through the season.
All right. I like it, Bernie. All right, so we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll go into open doubles. I'll let you start that when we get back. right, ACL fans, welcome back into ACL Live.
Wally, I got to talk about something that has nothing to do with cornhole real quick.
Awesome.
The Meg movies, those big shark megalodon movies.
Uh-huh.
I just watched a preview for the second one. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Did you see? Have you seen the first one?
I haven't seen the previews, but I did see the first one.
It's got to be the most ridiculous thing ever. Is it like tongue in cheek, and so I'm just missing the joke, or
I don't know. I just got done watching Fast X, so I mean, Fast and Furious 10. I don't really have a good movie, taste in my mouth right now.
I mean, come on. All right, sorry. That just I'm sitting there watching it like that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I mean, and a ton of people are going to go see that movie.
I'm going to see it too. I mean, I got the AMC A list, so you can go see 3 movies a week. So
Right.
I always, like in my downtime, I love going to the movie theater and just kind of catching a movie. Like those are my, other than my daughter's softball games, those are my 2 hours for life.
You like going by yourself? I used to love going by myself.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind if I go with a group, but I go by myself. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, sorry.
I was going to say that I feel like we did week after week after week after week for the longest time there in like the winter. And then I haven't seen you for a while. So, now that I'm back on ACL Live here for at least one more time, I'm going to interact with the chat a lot. So I'm kind of poking fun here at Tyler, having some fun. And that's a great segue into your doubles list. So let's go ahead and take a look.
All right, let's do it. Number 5. Well, we already talked about Vincent Frisch. And that's an interesting pairing to me with Jacob Trzynski, who's coming off, let's face, one of the greatest matches of all time as far as doubles is concerned, to win that national with Tony Smith, and then partnering up with Vincent Frisch. I mean, that's a perfect example that you were talking about, where Vincent Frisch, people want to play with him.
Yep.
And I mean, you're talking about a guy that's coming off, like I said, I mean, people online, people everywhere are talking about, where that match ranks as one of the all-time greats. And so you get a guy like Trzynski. Who's the A player there? And that's why I kind of wanted to bring him up. Who would you consider? I mean, is it 1A? Is it A? Is it A 1A? Is it A B?
With Tony?
With Trzynski and Frisch.
With Frisch, I think Trzynski's gonna be the A player here in this one. I
mean,
he's gonna fire up. Frisch will feed off of the energy that Jacob puts out. So I think this is actually kind of an interesting pairing. But I mean, I don't necessarily find a problem with it in the open, because I know that Tony and Hunter were trying to throw together for one. But I think Vincent Frisch can definitely hold his own on the other end. Doesn't matter if it's A or B for me. And
then number 4, we were given these lists, and I looked at this and I was like, is that real? Is that partnership real? Philip Lopez Jr. and Jimmy McGuffin? That just seems like an odd pairing to me.
Well, that's why I was listening to Tyler. Because Tyler was saying Mark and Phil are going to win doubles. I said, I don't think so.
I mean, maybe in the shootout, right? That is the strength, and I'm not putting him on this list for any other reason than I feel like it's a fairly. I mean, maybe the way they throw isn't necessarily all that odd of a pairing, but it just struck me as odd seeing those two names together. I don't know why. Maybe
he was sponsored by Lucky Bags last year, so he knows how to throw the snipers, and I think he threw the Celtics and stuff. So I don't think the bag choice is going to be a factor here. I think they're both pretty consistent. So I think it is going to be a nice little change of pace, especially coming off of that national. I mean, Philip, in my opinion, we'll talk about him a little bit better. He's kind of elevated himself to that A status that for some reason we just can't put him there by himself without talking about Mark Richards. So I think it's a nice little change of pace here. I'm kind of digging this team, to be honest with you.
It's definitely interesting. That takes me into number 3, Ernest Minarca, Joe Tyler Saladino. I'm liking these two guys, man. I'm loving what I've been seeing out of Ernest Minarca recently. I think Joe Tyler is getting closer and closer to making the kind of runs he wants to make.
Yeah, Ernest had a hell of a run at the national. I'm not mistaken.
And then the shootout before that, he played his tail off. I mean, he was, 2 matches from a broadcast or 1 match from a broadcast. So a guy that's kind of coming into his own. Joe Tyler, I think, is kind of the same. Beat Cheyenne Bubenheim in the singles bracket at the last, at our last national. So 2 guys ready to kind of make some waves. So I want to see how they play together in this Open.
Yeah, both of their breakouts, though, came in singles. So I do want to see if that can translate over to doubles. I mean, sometimes maybe throwing those extra bags when you walk down the other end, get yourself psyched up. I mean, that might play a factor too. So let's see if they get it at doubles. I like it.
All right, and Tyson Tubby Cobb at number 2. I feel like, we talked about how well Tubby was playing for a while, right? Tubby was kind of making some really good runs. He was kind of making a name for himself. You could argue that he had kind of become the best Cobb brother, at least for this season. And I would like to see them take that next step. I think Tubby has. I would like Tice to kind of come along with him, and as a doubles team, I would like to see them make that next step. Because right now, if you were to break the pro doubles division down by like tens, right? Where do you think you would put them? Would you put them top 20, top 30?
I'm probably going 30.
Right, and I feel like there's a chance that maybe they could possibly be top 20. And I would like to see them kind of take that next step. So I'm going to see how they play. Going out west always changes things, but I'm ready for them to kind of take that next step.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with the Cubs. It's like we always rotate. Like all three of them can't be hot at the same time. You know what I mean? So
right.
It's just one of them is on fire, and the other two are like okay, and then something falls off. They mix and match their pairings every now and then, but yeah, I think it could be Tyson's turn now. Tubby had his run.
Yeah. And number 1, Ryan Smith, Bella Soprennett. That's an interesting team to me, man. That's a team that's going to beat some people. That's a team that's going to make a long, deep run in that bracket in the Open.
Yeah, I can't think of where Ryan throws in relation to his arm over the board, inside, outside, whatever, with Wiedenfeld off the top of my head. So I'm not sure. For some reason, I picture Ryan and Bella. Bella's in the chat. She can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think for some reason Ryan and Bella both throw with their arm over the board more times than not, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting Bella's women's singles mixed up a little bit in this, but Bella's been one of the best players the entire season in the female division. Ryan Smith, obviously, we know what he can do. So, yeah, I like this pairing. I mean, that's kind of my theme for the entire Open, though. It's like, what are we doing here?
Right. Well, you and I had talked about we weren't big fans of players that were not playing with their pro partners. But in an instance like this, I think it's kind of interesting. In an instance like Lopez Jr. and McGuffin, I think it's kind of interesting, right? Because we are kind of deep into the season now. So, hey, no point in changing it up now. You're already kind of doing it. So but that's a team I've got a really good feeling about, which means I probably jinxed them, right? They're probably going 0-2.
That's pretty much my entire list, though. I'm keeping with this theme. What are we doing here? I almost wonder if there's something going on in the pro division where they're all kind of like, okay, we got to a certain point in the season, we're feeling good about ourselves, and now we're like, this is the last turn, heading down to the final home stretch of the season. What can I learn differently? Maybe mixing my partner up can teach me something differently with another person that I don't know. I don't know. We'll see it. We'll see how it plays itself out. But I feel like every single pro that's going to this Open is teaming up with somebody different here. So I'm going to go with number 5 on my list. Jimmy Humans coming fresh from Germany. Who knows when he'll get back, but off of his championship. He is teaming up with Frank Verona. Frank, probably future pro. I'm not sure exactly where he sits in the standings, but highly regarded out there on the East Coast, Upper East Coast, as one of these strong players, who's hanging in there. We saw Brady Foster have a great run in Tiverton. Frank Verona is another name people have been telling me to keep my eye on, especially Jimmy Humans. So with them teaming up this week, and I expect Jimmy to kind of take on the dad role and show Frank the ropes, what he can do.
Good week. Good time in Germany for Jimmy. I'm curious to talk to him about that. See how fun that was to be in that ACL Europe event.
Every person that's posted about Germany's had a great time. So that's awesome. I'm a little jealous. I got some FOMO on that one. We need like 73 weeks in the year for me to be able to hit all this stuff. All right, number 4 on my list. I don't think there are 2 better magicians in the cornhole game than Eric Davis and Devin Harbaugh. Them being on the same exact team, I am very curious to see how this plays out. This could be one of the greatest things we've seen, or one of the most spectacular train wrecks to hit the corner.
Yes. You and I talked about this when Eric played with Jamie Graham, and that's just not a partnership that gels well. I know they both throw fire bags, yada, 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 all from the same region, all that stuff. They just don't vibe well when they play. I think this might be different.
Yeah, I think this is the rebound Eric needs. I mean, we kind of talked about it last season about Eric and Jamie. They don't like to throw together. Just different playing styles. I get it. They got respect for each other, but just not good mesh on the boards. But Devin Harbaugh's carousel of partners for the season continues. And I don't think he's going to have the same restrictions that he had with Jamie Graham. Eric's going to be able to have free reign, do whatever you want to do, just make it look cool.
Right? I mean, if you get a hot Eric Davis, and it's been a while. I mean, let's be honest. It's been a while since we've had a hot Eric Davis. But if you get a hot Eric Davis and a hot Devin Harbaugh, how do you score against them?
Yeah. I mean,
seriously. If you get that play, I mean, it's been a while. It's been a while for Eric. I feel like I feel bad for Eric in a way, and I know that sounds terrible. I mean, I such a talent that seems to have gone down. Like, we've talked about other players like a Nico Morales, like an Alan Rawls, who've kind of ascended this season. I feel like Eric's one of those that's kind of descended, and I'm wondering if that's messing with his confidence.
I think it's the year of the PPR, and he hasn't made the adjustment so far this season, from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
All right, number 3 on my list, a high dirty PPR player there in Fisher Hamilton teaming up with Caden Allen for this Open. This is going to be a fun and interesting team to watch here in the doubles division. I mean, I don't know if there's any 2 teenagers on the planet that I would like to see paired up more than these 2 right now. I mean, maybe Ryan Wiedenfeld and Caden Allen. I've been trying to get that one to happen, but Fisher Hamilton, man, he's there.
Yeah.
He's another person who's deep into every single bracket. Him and Gavin Cano now, I think, are pretty much TV time ready.
Yeah.
So Fisher Hamilton and Caden Allen, man, 2 players I'm going to keep my eye on. This, again, my entire list is just going to be fun. Like, I don't even want to commentate this weekend. I just want to watch all these players play.
I just, watching Fisher play, I think Fisher is – a broadcast will happen soon for Fisher Hamilton.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes, win, you mean?
In singles. I mean, I just feel, obviously he's been there with Gavin already, but I feel like it's coming. I feel like his game is broadcast ready. I feel like he just needs some luck to go his way on a broadcast. That's it.
There's a couple ticks left to go on the mental meter as far as if some things don't go his way, that's holding him back. So if he can figure out that, then he'll be fine. Number 2 on my list, though, we got some seniors in this game compared to everyone else on my list. I mean, OGs, if you will, teaming up. It's kind of interesting to see Dave Sutton. Like, how do you lose Jeremy Frazier, who's been on an absolute hot streak, and still upgrade as far as partners go?
I mean, I've always felt Dave was one of the most underrated players. I mean, because nothing's pretty about the way he plays. Right, you're not going to go to the board going, "Hey, watch this bag. This is exactly how you should throw it back." But he finds a way to get it done. He finds a way to hang in matches, and if you make a couple of mistakes, he jumps all over you. And then obviously Damon Dennis, Double D. I mean, legend.
Dave is just kind of a quiet guy in general, though. So I'm really hoping that pairing up with Damon here, we get to see another side of Dave that we're not used to. I mean, obviously I know him in the St. Louis area, but I like this pairing, especially with everything else that way going on. You're just mixing up pairings left and right. Like, I don't know if there's a memo that said you can't pair with your normal partner or something for this one.
Right.
But I think this is going to be a fun pairing to watch here. Hopefully I don't know if the wrist issue, if there's something going on with Dave's wrist. I see him wearing that brace. Hopefully it's not anything serious, but yeah, I always enjoy watching Dave throw, and I'll be looking forward to watching this one too.
Right on.
Number 1 on my list. All right, Texas. There you go. Are you happy?
It is.
Are you happy? I got Sammy Soto on my list for you guys. Sammy Soto was very, very impressive whenever I finally got to take a look at him in Topeka. I think he is there. I believe he is another one of these underage players, though, that would have to qualify. So, again, the 8 spots, how do you determine who's going to get in there? I think Sammy's on his way to making it in. We talk about Logan Chamberlain. I made a post the other day, like, who is the best sidekick in Cornell? Justin Burton is obviously the number 1 player on the planet right now, and deservedly so. And he put a little sad face in the chat earlier. I said, dude, it goes without saying that. We're watching you, bro. Wherever you're at, we're watching Justin do. But Texas, I'm on board. I'm with you guys. I want to see Sammy Soto, and I want to see Logan Chamberlain do some work here in the doubles division.
I'm limited in what I've seen from Sammy, but everything that I have seen, and I got to see him play, I guess it was Topeka.
Yeah, it's too big.
And I'm all in, man. I'm all in on Sammy Soto. I'm all in. The kid's got game. Period.
He's a good talent. He's got to work on. I mean, actually, you know what? Take it back. Keep the awkward knuckles where you're at, Sammy. You're doing great on the awkward knuckles part. Your throwing is there too. He's an entertaining person to watch. Sammy Soto he's legit, man. He's another one of these, Ryan Wiedenfeld, Fisher Hamilton, Justin Burton Jr.'s that can just hop right in the pro division and look like he belongs. So,
yep.
All right, that's it for the Open. We're going to take one commercial break, and then we'll go over to Shootout Series. See you guys in just a little bit. All right, ACL Nation, welcome back in. We are done with Open, heading right into Shootout now. I think I started last time, right, Bernie? So we're good with you?
Let's do it, man. Bring me up.
Before we get started, man, I'm going to let the chat – I have a question for the chat. Should I get Hawaiian Bros tonight and eat and stay here and then drive back in the morning, or should I just continue driving everywhere and drive back to St. Louis?
I think you should rest a little bit, personally.
I'm staring out my window and Hawaiian Bros is right there, and I'm just like, man, that sounds so good right now. All right, my bad. Focus.
All right, singles. Number 5, Sarah Cassidy. I know this sounds crazy, but I feel like Sarah's kind of becoming this forgotten woman in the women's singles game, in the women's division. Obviously Cheyenne is who she is. People have been talking about Bella making a run. You've had Sam Finley, Rosie Streaker have all had really big moments. Sarah Cassidy's still a heck of a cornhole player. And I would something tells me, and I could be way off, but something tells me we get a big week from Sarah Cassidy in the Shootout.
Well, the thing is, last year you look at it, you're like, all right, Sarah Cassidy, I think everybody had her in like the top 5 as far as females go. I don't know if we saw her more last year and we're just not seeing her enough this year, or if the women's division is actually now getting a little bit more diverse.
It is. I mean, it's deeper. Obviously you're talking about a former champion, a multiple-time champion, but the women's division has gotten deeper. And
I kind of called her out. I think it was Topeka, and I was like, where's Sarah Cassidy? I want to see it. I haven't seen much out of her yet this season, and then she showed up and she was lights out. So I'm like, all right, she's still there. So yeah, maybe it's just a credit to the women's division, but I think Sarah, again, she should win one of these shootouts, right?
You would think so. I mean, you're talking 8 of them.
Yeah.
Are you a top 8 female in the world? I mean, I would think Sarah Cassidy is, right?
I'm putting her there now.
But you never know. I mean, you got to win it. So I just, for some reason, I just in my gut, I feel like we're going to get a big run from Sarah Cassidy this week. Number 4, Dylan Turpin. Dylan Turpin, another one of those players, that handful of players that we talked about with Nico Morales, Alan Rawls. Dylan Turpin is one of those guys that is just his ascendancy in pro singles has been kind of fun to watch. I don't know, Wally, you've called it a couple times. How many times has he been one match away from a broadcast now?
Yeah, at least 3 or 4 that I know of. I mean, the guy, he had it all laid out, then we changed the format, and then he missed it because we changed the format.
Yeah.
And he missed it again. I mean, and then he gets on there for the team's event and then lays the stinkers. It's kind of like, oh,
so
man, hopefully it's not in his head too much because the guy's elite, man. His talent is there.
His talent's there, and I just sometimes, outside of, say, 5 to 10 players that are just truly elite, you get runs from players where they just have these 3 months where they're just on fire, right? Everything they throw is going the way they want it to. I hope Dylan isn't one of those guys, and I hope he's kind of worked his way into the elite status. And so I'm curious. It would be nice to see him finally make that broadcast this weekend. Number 3, Doug Zaft. Last season, players that played in their home area played well. Last year when we were in Arizona, it was the Sassueta brothers that played so well. Watch out for Doug Zaft this weekend. Going to be home court kind of guy. Once again, I'm very different, right? Obviously, everyone knows that. I mean, if you're watching Trey or Anthony or a few others, they're going to hit you with numbers, right? They're going to come at you armed with what their PPR has been for the last 4 tournaments. They're going to come at you with their DPR. They're going to come at you with all kinds of numbers. I'm more of a gut guy. What is my gut? What is the eye telling me? What is my gut telling me? And my gut's telling me Doug Zaft's going to have a good weekend this week.
Well, going back to the last national in Erie, Doug Zaft was just dominant as far as the PPR leaders goes. I believe that was doubles with him and Bill, and they looked like they weren't going to be beat. I expected them to go on a deep run at some point, and then halfway through the tournament, they kind of petered out. So, is this something that we need to keep an eye on? Is like, can Doug Zaft finish an entire tournament, or is he still at that status where he can make a deep run and take on somebody in the singles championship?
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, we shall see. Speaking of people that were used to making deep runs in tournaments, Trey Birchfield.
Yeah, he peaked early and it's kind of been quiet.
I think, once again, could be wrong. My gut's telling me Trey Birchfield's about to turn the corner a little bit. I think he's tired of everyone talking about who he used to be. Okay. I thought Michelle actually made a very good point when I talked to her a couple times when we were doing streaming, that he got away from being the robot. That when he was so dominant, when he was so robotic, I mean, he didn't move much. You didn't see much from him. He was just blinders on, throwing bags, making things happen. And he kind of got away from that. He kind of was moving around a lot on his throws. He didn't seem balanced with the way he was playing. But I once again, I could be wrong, but my gut's telling me Trey Birchfield's about to turn the corner a little bit.
I feel like, I'm all over the place, and who knows if I'm mixing my stories or not, but I feel like I heard someone say that there might be something wrong with Trey physically where he, might need to, go to a doctor and have surgery or check something out. I can't remember. So
I mean, if that's the case, I mean, that's obviously going to have an effect, right?
Yeah. We thought Jamie Graham, though, and look what happened.
Yeah, I had, and the reason I've got Jamie number 1, I had, and I talked about it when we were streaming in Erie, I had a 10-minute conversation with Jamie that was very pointed. It was very honest, very direct. But you can tell when you're getting false bravado from someone, right? You can tell when they're telling you what you want to hear about how well they're playing and where their confidence level is, but you can kind of see through it a little bit. The exact opposite is what I got from Jamie Graham. I got someone telling me that they're about to be who they've always been, and we need to stop worrying about them as a player.
And I mean, Jamie looked like he had fun last weekend. I mean, I was kind of just watching him move around the room, and he just seemed like he had a different vibe about him. So I don't know if maybe the everything's starting to click now at the right part of the season, or if, like he said, it's always been there. He just kind of wanted to.
Yeah, he made some good points about, look, it's a bag here, it's a bag there, it's a weird match here, it's a weird match there. It's not as if he's been playing as bad as everyone's made it out to be, but he also understood that he is Jamie Graham. He is going to be viewed differently than other players.
Right.
And so, and he gets that. But I think your point about having fun, I think the confidence level is there, and I think we're going to see Jamie. As a matter of fact, I would not be surprised to see Jamie win this weekend.
But I mean, you think about us in general. Like, aren't we just evil though? I mean, every player who was number one, Trey Birchfield was number one. Where's he at? What's happened to him? Jimmy Graham was number one. What happened to him? Mark Richards was number one. We're like, well, maybe this isn't his season. Like, what do we expect? You know what I mean?
It's true. It's true. Look, it's kind of our job, but B, it's when you set expectations that high, people like us have to hope you live up to those expectations, and when you don't, we kind of have to say that you're not. So it's tough. It's tough, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but it is fun to watch either way. So, all right, heading over to my shootout list. We got a little trend in the females division. I'm not sure if you noticed this, but whoever finished the second place, the shootout before, wins the next shootout. So we'll see if that streak continues. I'll tell you what, though, Elizabeth Tennyson looked like she belonged on that broadcast.
Absolutely.
She did not look nervous at all. She was hitting her shots, just a slight miss here or there, and then a really, really nice collect from Lori Dewell keeps Elizabeth Tennyson away from winning that shootout. So I'm going to be seeing if she can kind of repeat that performance that we saw down in Texas as we head out to Mesa, Arizona. And then number 4 on my list, kind of the same thing. Really, really like what I saw to Kaylee on the on our live stream court. Fell just a little bit short, but I think that Kaylee Hunter has been pretty consistent all year, and maybe she's a bag or two away of making a broadcast herself in the shootout format. So,
if I can say something real quick about Elizabeth Tennyson on your list, I would have bet money she would not have played as well as she did against Lori.
Yeah,
first time on the broadcast court, it gets everybody right. I was truly impressed with how she handled herself. Sorry,
that breakfast regimen that she had was a screwdriver. I mean,
yeah.
Calling her out on TV here, but screwdriver for breakfast help you win championships. All right, so I don't know if he's still in the chat anymore. I was just kind of holding the surprise for later. So if you're still there, Justin Burton Jr., boom, there you go.
There it is.
On my list, player to win this list, I am going to go ahead and pick. My streak is hot, Ernie. My streak is hot. I'm going to keep it going. I'm picking Justin Burton Jr. to win the shootout series here in Mesa.
You're going way out on a limb, huh?
Yeah.
I went way out with Jamie. You're going way out with Justin Burton Jr.
Yeah, I'm picking the number one player on the planet to do number one thing. So. Sorry if I'm wrong. But yeah, Justin Burton Jr., I mean, he's got it all working for him. He's been throwing high PPRs. I do like how the rest of our brackets finished out in the national, how everybody who was playing in the Final Four there, Jimmy Graham, Justin Burton Jr., Alex and Alan Rawls, they all had to switch courts at the end there. So Justin Burton Jr., he dominated his bracket, had a great battle with Jake Krasinski, but finished way too early. And he had to sit down for quite a while.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that here in the shootout. You're going to basically run right from rounders into the bracket. And then, I have every confidence in the world that Justin Burton Jr. can qualify to make broadcasts. And at that point, who knows what's going to happen. But, Justin Burton Jr., we don't really need to talk too much about him because we all know how elite he is. And
he's pretty good player.
Yeah. We talked earlier about Caleb Batson. I mean, I love what I'm seeing out of Caleb Batson. I mean, we kind of went into it there, but in singles, Caleb Batson is doing very, very well. In doubles thrown with Eddie, he's got just a certain swag and the confidence. It's like he's learning at the same time as he's carrying the team, if that's possible.
Right.
That makes sense?
No, it does.
And then number 1 on my list here, Philip Lopez Jr. I talked to him a little bit before that broadcast. Actually, before the doubles championship match in our court, same thing with Jamie Graham. He's like, man, I'm feeling really good. I'm throwing better than I have been in a while. It looked like it. He hit the shot of the weekend, hitting that backside air middle to stay alive.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not sure if you guys broke it down or ACL, around the ACL broke it down, but he scored, 15 points or something in that match?
Yeah. So. He you know what worries me, though? And I love Philip as a player, but the gamesmanship with the shot clock.
Yeah.
Because we were really close to having to call a match due to a rules violation.
Yeah.
And one of the great matches of all time. And it's not worth it. It's not worth putting everyone in that position. That's all I'm going to, do what you got to do. And I understand the gamesmanship of it all. And you've got 4 timeouts to use there, but just be careful.
Yeah. I mean, Philip and Mark know the rules very, very well. Before he shot that bag, he's like, I got to go in, right? He just wanted to double check. And also 8, 7. Everybody in the room was kind of like, and then whenever the bag was in the air, we were already out of breath.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that's an iconic shot, right? I mean, even in a losing effort, that shot's going to go down, in the annals. So that's just be careful. That's all I'm saying.
All right, one more commercial break. When we come back, Shootout doubles. See you in a few. All right, ACL Nation, welcome back. Down the home stretch, thank you for absolutely no help on whether or not I should get food or drive home today, because
I think you should get food, dude.
I don't know why you even
it's
talk to me anymore, man. They don't listen to me anymore.
Let's do it, man. Let's finish off on a high note.
Yes, sir. We can go over, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
Just can't go under.
Been a while. All right, let's go ahead. Start off with Bernie's shootout doubles. Let's go.
All right, number 5. Hey, Connie Altice, Cameron Belvin. Want to see it. Beginning of the season, I thought this was going to be a pretty dangerous tandem. I don't know if they've really lived up to expectations. I think they both want to play better. And to be honest, I feel like Connie's been a little off this season.
I really liked what I saw at her in Tiverton. I mean, just getting that little fire back under her.
Yeah.
I really had high expectations for Connie and Cameron also. I'm going to throw with you.
So I just want to see them play well. I want to see a giant leap forward this weekend, and that's why I've got them on my list. Number 4, Justin Burton Jr., Logan Chamberlain. I mean, what else needs to be said, right? However, I would like to see them win a shootout. I want them in there at the end of the season. I want them to be a part of it because, let's face it, they've been one of the 2 or 3 most dominant teams in the ACL this season, obviously. I want to see them win a shootout, so why not? Why not get it out of the way? Why not get it done this weekend?
They don't throw like rookies, though. They throw very, very in their matchup. They ran into a stinker on the broadcast, of course. That's probably a sour taste in their mouth, so I'm kind of curious to see how they rebound on that.
Yeah.
But whenever they make their shot selections and they talk through these strategies, like I'm right there on the same page with them. I like what they're doing as far as the discussion part of things go, and obviously the throwing's doing okay, I guess.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Number 3, Hunter Thorne, Tony Smith. Hunter Thorne, another one of those players. We've talked about a handful of those players that have really ascended this season. Hunter's been one of those guys. And then Tony Smith, coming off what we saw in the doubles win at the Erie National. How does that come down to a round limited format? And what happens if they win? What happens if Hunter Thorne and Tony Smith win this week?
Yeah, I think Jake Trzynski had to find a new partner because his last scheduled partner won the shoot. I think he's supposed to throw it to Monza. So mix it up now. So if Hunter and Tony take this one, now he's got to do it again.
Yeah. So I think Tony Smith has kind of come into his own again. I mean, obviously you're talking about a player that's on that very short list of the elite players in the game. I made mention of what I saw on the streaming court when he played Fisher Hamilton, and he had played, I think, 4 straight games trying to come back in the losers bracket in Erie, and he just kind of got tired. He was just kind of done. And once he got down, he just kind of let it go.
That's what I said. What are we going to get out of 21-year-old Tony Smith, though? He gets his first taste of alcohol. Who knows?
Oh, man, what? I'm sure that won't be the first drink he's ever had, but to your point. Number 2, the Zazueta brothers, Zazuetas. They played awesome in Mesa last year. Made a broadcast. Once again, they were part of that group of players that when they played in their home region just played super well. So I wouldn't be shocked to see them play well again. Round limited, they both play well in round limited format. So do not be surprised if we see the Zazueta brothers again in Mesa.
Isn't it kind of weird though? Like we would always think, out west Arizona and Doug Zaff is our first thought, and then like now it's kind of transitioned to Zazuetas. Yeah. Anytime we go to the left of the country, it's the Zazuetas.
Yep. It's their world out there, man. And then Gavin Cano, Fisher Hamilton, rounding out my doubles to watch. I mean, why not? They're one of those teams. They're one of those doubles teams. They've made some broadcasts. I think they're getting used to being on the broadcast court, right? So why not? Why not them this weekend? We've talked about. I mean, there's some great teams on this list. There's some great teams that we've talked about already. I mean, they're just why not them? Why not them this weekend?
How about the 4 guys that you see right now? You got all 4 on your list right now. The 4 guys that are coming into the ACL season as rookies, the world had no idea who they were. Gavin Cano, Fisher Hamilton, Justin Burton Jr., Logan Chamberlain, all getting extra TV time with their broadcast because they're going deep in these tournaments. I believe, let's see, Gavin and Fisher, they were on for Dallas. Was Topeka the one before that?
Yeah, I cannot remember.
I'm pretty sure it's back-to-back shootout finals for them.
Yeah.
Third time could be a charm.
Yeah, I don't be surprised if you see it. By the way, I remember seeing Logan Chamberlain and Justin Burton Jr. when we were in College Station for the college tour. It was a small tournament, like 5 teams. But you could just see the bags, right? You could just see the talent. And you're like, oh, I mean, they're kind of pro-ready. I want to see them play against other pros. Well, here we have it. And they're dominant. So good on them.
Start there kind of on my list, and we just got to talk about Gavin and Fisher. I mean, how many times until they actually finally punch one through? The skills there, they're elite on the season. I expect them to win a shootout. You're number 5. I think this could be their go. Number 2 on my list, just a little Facebook match made in heaven. You post who wants to throw with who, and then you get, boom, Jimmy Humans and Matt Guy. So,
interesting.
Yeah, interesting pairing to see how it's going to work out. But
whose bags will they play?
I mean, Jimmy and Matt are actually more diverse than you guys think as far as what bags they could throw. Matt Guy is a long-time carpet thrower. Sure. He was talking to me at Erie, and he was saying that he kind of wants to get back to throwing some carpet-style bags. So I'm wondering if they might just go that route. I know he used to throw the Reynolds back in the day, so maybe they might find something for Reynolds that works. So who knows?
Who knows?
Go old school with it. And then, we talked about it here. Another match made in heaven on Facebook. Jordan Power and Jake Trzynski, they both had to switch partners because of the qualifier. And boom, there you go. I think Jordan was supposed to throw with Adam Hissner, and then Jake was supposed to throw with Noah. Though they both qualified through their last 2 shootouts. And why not? Let's see what we can do together. Josh Keck could be the matchmaker. Love Connection, Chuck Woolery?
Yeah, Chuck. Wow. Man, take it back. I like that. Chuck Woolery call.
I could have used the 2 and 2 earlier. This is our last segment. Drop the ball. All right, number 4, man. We all want to see it. This is go time. We saw at the National. They kind of had their learning curve match, lost early, had a good run in the bracket, got beat out by some good team. But then, here we go. This is a fresh start. I think they might have bags figured out. They got one tournament under their belt. Let's see what they got to do. Shootout format. You don't have to be perfect all the time. You just have to be perfect enough. Yep. What will Nico and Devin do? And then number 5 on my list, Mike Ferreira, he's been throwing very, very well individually. Ethan Walker, I think, has been throwing very well individually. I like this pairing. It's going to be sneaky. I think they could upset some people as long as Ethan, stays mentally in the game that he's in.
That's a very good point.
Mike Ferrer could be that type of person to kind of wrangle him in a little bit to do it. I'm curious to see how this one works out.
Yeah, I like what I've seen out of Ethan when he's got blinders on, so to speak. When he's kind of focused in his own lane, kind of staying where he needs to stay mentally. But talent-wise, it's all there.
Was that a jab? Stay in his own lane? Is that what you're trying to say? I see what you're trying to
do. A little funny.
Oh, man. All right. So either way, man, what day do you get in there?
I'll be there on Wednesday evening.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I'm heading out tomorrow. Worked out a little bit better as far as the flights go. Don't have to land, 11 o'clock at night anymore. So we'll be out there early. Going to try and get some swings in and hang out for a little bit and get a day to relax and sleep in the hotel. I promised the chat and everyone else that there will be another Awkward Knuckles commercial. So I'm going to work on that all Wednesday night, man. You can come find me at the bar and hang out with me and have a drink, and we'll work on it together if you want, Bernie.
Sounds good, man. Just let me know where you're at.
All right, chat. Appreciate you guys all tuning in. Bernie, appreciate you. See you guys. You go.